key takeaway from the Hindsight 2020 panel was, well, I think everyone was pretty clear and consistent in most of the messages that, for example, entrepreneurs are very often not too keen on regulation. What they're good at is new ideas. They find dealing with regulation quite frustrating, but that over the more recent past, the most successful entrepreneurs in FinTech are actually the ones that understand that it is completely vital for them to get to grips with the regulation, because if they fail to do that, they will not build value. And so when it comes to getting further investment or ultimately IPOing, they'll have teams of lawyers from major law firms crawling all over their business, and if the things aren't right, then it's seriously damaging to what they've built. So, although it doesn't come naturally to a lot of entrepreneurs, most entrepreneurs in FinTech will make the effort to grapple to make sure they get the fundamentals right at the outset. So that was part of it. I mean, another thing that there was consensus on was the fact that entrepreneurs are very often very good at setting something up. They're not so good at managing a business as it scales, and that some entrepreneurs are very conscious of that and others again aren't. And so getting that balance right, if you're advising startups, being able to have the conversation with the founder at the right time and start encouraging a sort of transition to more professional management, I suppose, is also an important part of growing up, I guess. Startups increasingly value legal advice when setting up their product or service, and again in the FinTech sector, very often what you'll find is that they have surveyed the market very closely in order to find out what they think is wrong with the product, with the market, and why it's not working well, and why their idea is going to be successful. So usually you'll find a high level of understanding, but also combined with a level of impatience, I would say, with some aspects of regulation. And that's what makes a really successful startup successful. It's when you get that combination of an awareness that regulation matters with the willingness to challenge the advice that you're being given. That's when change happens. Actually, it's you're forcing your legal advisors to think differently as well, and so I think you need that combination of acceptance, but sort of rebellion as well, to really be to find something new, actually, to make something really new and successful. In terms of pitfalls that should be avoided, apart from not getting the right regulatory analysis right at the outset, because that is absolutely key, there are sort of more intangible things, I think. One of them is failing to hang on to your culture, and this was something that was discussed quite a lot on the panel. That there are lots of things that drive innovation and make startups successful, but having the right culture is a big part of that. Culture that encourages people to think differently, to collaborate, to be resilient, but feel supported. There are peaks and troughs on the journey, and that point was made on the panel several times, that it's never going to be plain sailing. So you need to have a culture that makes people feel that they can, they're being challenged to do things differently, but they'll be supported through the process too. How can law firms support FinTechs? Well, I think in this case I need to speak about what we're doing because it's something that, as head of our FinTech practice, I think about a great deal. And this point actually came up in the panel as well, that if you work a lot with entrepreneurs doing new and innovative things, what you find, or certainly what I found, was that it's challenged me to think differently about what we do and how we do it. So we're constantly looking at how we can make sort of really expert legal advice affordable to startups. So it's a combination of things that we're doing. We do have a FinTech mentors program where we give free advice up to a certain amount to startups who go through a process of being approved by us for admission onto the program. So that's a very sort of tangible and obvious way of supporting people at that very early stage, or if they're a slightly bigger startup, to support a particular project that they want to embark on and they haven't got the legal spend to do. So there's that, but I think in a way sort of a bit more radically, we're developing things like chatbots, so that our legal expertise in regulation can be turned into something that we can sell at a very affordable price to anyone who wants to buy it. I think that's the way things are going. We also we commoditize as much as we do. We offer fixed prices so that there are no surprises for anything. And we're also quite generous in the discounts we give to FinTech startups, and the justification for that is that this is a really exciting sector. We want to be part of it. We're sort of almost paying to play, as it were. We realise that we have to adjust our fees in order to engage with that sector too.